This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Yeah, yo, it's game time, ain't no messing around. Huddle Sports Network, the best in town. From NFL rumors to the latest trends, we got all your sports, just tune in, my friends. Catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, take your pick. Facebook, YouTube, where the action's slick. Daily shows that drop like a bomb. From 10 to 11, it's Ken and Ken, stay calm. Huddle up, catch the vibe, feel the rush. Get your news, get your fills in the clutch. Over 27 podcasts, we breaking it down. Join the team, Huddle Sports, wear the crown. Live every weekday, it's how we roll. Lions Talk with Jeremy B, we taking a stroll. From 11 to 12, don't miss a beat. We break down the game, make the info sweet. The Daily Huddle Podcast, noon to 1. CST Zone, we're just having fun. Toss your doubts, we bring the facts. Tune into the...
Good morning. Thank you for watching this Sunday morning sports show. I'm your host, Brian BStrilla Arndt, along with joined by my distinguished co-hosts here, Keith Engel from TGI Sports Talk, James J. Trey Martin. He leaves his viewpoints on a lot of our shows on this network. And of course, Jack Hertz of the Keith and Jack Weekend Playbook and the Gloved Fist that comes on Monday and Friday.
Jack and Keith. I want to give Jack top billing there.
Jack, Keith. Well, it works either way.
I never think of that. That doesn't get, unless I could get the full billing, it doesn't matter which order it goes in.
Yeah, you negotiate hard. It cost me a lot of money, and we came to that agreement. So,
and remember to support Keith Engel with stars. Do that as well.
Speaking of money.
Yeah. And what's up, everybody? Monkey's getting a shout out there. We're going to start off with the major leagues today. Chicago Cubs put an end to the Yankees' win streak at 5, winning 5-2. But Aaron Judge, you know what? What is it with me on Sundays when I can't talk? Aaron Judge homers in game to become fastest player in MLB to reach 350 career home runs. How about that?
Well, this is a football show. This is a football show for the most part, so I understand why you go to Aaron Jones. But Aaron Judge, 350 quicker, I think almost 200 games faster than Mark McGwire did, or 100 and high hundreds. I mean, it's great, but age-wise is a little different. He's 33 years old, so, we're not chasing 760 home runs here for Aaron Judge, but still a great accomplishment. He stays healthy. He's certainly going to get to 500 and maybe 600 if he stays healthy. So, which is always a question, but good accomplishment. Tough loss for the Yankees and lose a little bit of momentum going into the All-Star game. Like to see them win today, but a nice accomplishment for Mr. Judge, who's been obviously carrying this team most of the year.
Well, the momentum doesn't mean a thing going into the All-Star game. It means nothing at all, 0%. But what took Aaron Judge so long to get started in his career? No one even talks about that. He made a couple of great catches in the field yesterday. But where was he when he was 23 and 24? I mean, that's what I kind of wonder about. Did he have all this potential and did the Yankees hold him back too much? No one talks about that.
He started slow in the low minors. I know that. He was not tearing it up, and the Yankees, I don't know that the Yankees had him as that high a prospect early on. There were some guy like Gary Sanchez was a higher ranked prospect than Aaron Judge back in the day. They all came up together. If you remember, Aaron around the same time, Judge and Sanchez and Austin. What was that? There was another one that came up at the same time, Jack, an outfielder. I can't remember, Austin Tyler or whatever. And Judge is still here, and the rest have disappeared. So he's a late bloomer, and maybe it's because he's such a big guy. I mean, baseball isn't normally played by guys his size, and it takes a little time to acclimate to playing guys that are as good or better than you, and you're not just getting by on sheer skill.
And what I don't like bringing up, but I feel an obligation to, and I don't believe for 1 second that this is the case. I don't think it is at all. The steroid suspicions, because
I knew you were going there.
Right, he has such a great image, and he seems to be a great, great guy. But the way he's doing this into his 30s, I'm surprised that no one has just brought it up for the sake of it. Now, you might think, well, I'm doing it. No, I'm not doing it because I don't think he is. I'm just surprised it hasn't come up.
I'm pretty sure his head size as it was on his rookie year, so I think he's probably clean if we go by the Barry Bonds measurement. No, I'd be shocked if he was. I don't think that's the case. I know you're not saying it, that Jack, but I'm sure there are people out there that crosses their mind, and I don't blame it when it crosses their mind with the history that we've had the last couple of decades with steroids and whatnot. But I don't think that's the case here.
No.
I'll be honest, it did cross my mind just on the panel just now when you started saying 500, 600. It crossed my mind, but it only crossed my mind because of the history. Because of the history, that's it. I'm not suggesting that Aaron Judge is right, exactly, is guilty of anything. And you just when I first saw him and looked at him, I'm like, that's a big dude. I mean, he's huge. Pause. I just think that there's just because of the history, there's always going to be a question about everybody. Anybody that's approaching those numbers, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to be the size. You just a question of whether or not somebody's doing something because of how great they are and how different that they seem to be on another level. They're on a plateau that no one else is on. So you're questioning. I mean, we're talking about Lance Armstrong. He wasn't a big guy. But Lance Armstrong, he was killing, Tour de France's, and so I just think that you just have to question. That's all. It's fair, and it's fair to question, like you said.
It's his age. That would be the thing about it. Why I would think people might question it at some point, because when a guy's playing better in his 30s than he did in his 20s, people are going to wonder why. But sometimes the guy peaks late on. It happens. You can get better, into a later stage of your career sometimes.
And
it's one thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Keith.
You get healthier too. In his case, he had a lot of injuries early in his career and sometimes later. But again, that could also go back to you.
Yes, I mean, steroids are supposed to enhance and help recover. And so I'm not saying that, everything you guys are saying is like, oh my God, that sounds so like he may be, but let's not say that.
No, he's not on it. I would be absolutely flabbergasted if he tested positive and he was on it after all. I mean,
everybody was flabbergasted about Rodriguez.
Listen, remember,
A-Rod.
No, people weren't flabbergasted by A-Rod. A-Rod's personality was so erratic. Yeah. Nothing the guy did shocked anyone. Come on,
I'm not thinking a lot of people thought he wasn't. I mean, people were saying like this guy's. I mean, when Barry Bonds did what he did, allegedly, they
thought A-Rod was clean more so than not. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
By the way, Judge did hit 52 home runs when he was 25, so it's not like he just started hitting home runs in his either. So I mean,
right.
Yeah. But look at
again. I lean more that he's not doing it.
Yeah.
I just but Jack brought up the 30s, and so that's just look.
No, I didn't bring up suspicion.
No, you brought up that you saying what people might think.
No one mentions it. And it's nice that no one's mentioning it, even though we're mentioning it on this show. I feel there's an obligation to bring up topics. I don't think for one moment that he's on it, but I'm surprised it hasn't been an issue that someone has brought up.
Let's just say if anyone is thinking this, they would look at, like you said, his age. No one on the wrong side of 30 starts to improve and escalate power, going sending balls in 400 feet, 500 feet. Well, there's no 500 feet, but you know what I mean? Just striking. 50 plus times a year. That's a lot. That's a lot. But I'm not going to say he's guilty of anything because I don't. He doesn't look. Again, the evidence, it doesn't show. It doesn't look like that. It just looks like he just plays baseball.
We have turned this show into an Aaron Judge alleged.
It was great that Jack brought it up because it brings about some things.
No one said anything, Brian, alleged. You used the wrong word. It's not even funny.
We use alleged.
We gotta say alleged. Just if the fact that we talk about it. Yes.
Alleged. That means
you brought it up. When you bring it up, that's past for suspicion. So whatever.
There are people out there that will whisper it, so that's
yeah,
for sure.
Not this necessarily, but and by the way, steroids don't improve your skill and your talent. It'll keep you healthier. It'll make you stronger, but it doesn't help you hit a baseball. I can tell you that. So.
Of course, you have to hit a baseball long and it improves performance. Come on.
No, what he's saying is you have to be talented first before you even start doing anything.
You can't have baseball. Jeez. I just took a bunch of steroids the other day, Jack, and I went to the batting cage. I missed every ball. Just kidding.
Good morning to Excalibur, One Force, Rick Sherlock, and Little Holmes for joining the show. The Dodgers beat the Giants 2-1 to halt their 7-game losing streak. Surprise, surprise. And they lost 2 sets of games there. Jack, we talked about this yesterday just a little bit. You have this inclination to think that the Dodgers are going to go back to the World Series automatically. I'm not so sure about that. I really think that, they got beat twice badly at home, 17-1 and 18-1 during this season. And one of the times was by the Colorado Rockies. They've lost 7 in a row. They got, I think they're the second best team in the MLB right now. But at the same time, people are catching up. Other teams are catching up. The Cubs are catching up. The Mets are catching up. The Yankees are catching up. Everybody's catching up to them. I'm not so certain that they're going to go to the World Series this year.
Well, no one is catching up to them, and those losses, they won't mean anything later on. Sometimes you never know. We all thought the Boston Celtics would be a virtual lock to come out of the East, unless the Cleveland Cavaliers could maybe somehow upset them. But the Dodgers are by far the best team in baseball. No one is catching up to them. If they're healthy come playoff time. If they're healthy, they have no one on the DL, and that's always an if. The Dodgers have the most talent, by far, and they'll be ready come playoff time. But can they be beaten? Yeah, in baseball, anyone can beat anyone else. I can't quite say that about the NBA, even though you can get a surprise in the NBA now and then, like we did with the Pacers coming out of the East. That wasn't expected at the beginning of the playoffs. All in all, the NBA is predictable. The NFL, to a large part, is predictable. Baseball's more unpredictable, unless you have a super team like the Dodgers. They have a super team. Come playoff time, they'll be a whole different team. They'll be ready to go. And, they should win the World Series again.
Yeah, they will get there. And again, as Jack said, you still got to play the game. They should. Unless their biggest enemy is boredom and health. And I'll say again, Dave Roberts has lost everybody in his starting rotation except for, I believe, Yamamoto this year. Every year he loses like his whole starting rotation. He just wins 100 games, wins the 2 World Series, if you want to count COVID. People like to eliminate that, but they still play the season.
And that game that they won was led by Jack mentioned the super team, by their superhero, Ohtani. He had an excellent pitching game, didn't he?
He pitched 3 scoreless innings yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, 25 strikeouts and
during some steam for the
19 of his pitches were 97 miles an hour. So
pitching well. That's a huge addition to that nobody else in baseball can make in the second half. So it's going to be interesting to see. I do believe that this team, again, You have to play the games. The Cubs have got a good team. They're faltering a little bit right now. The Phillies will be okay and a danger in the postseason, and some other teams will surprise us. But you still got to win.
Is anybody talking about the Red Sox and their 9-game win streak?
I was just going to bring that up there, James. They've won 9 straight games, 10 out of their last 11. The Yankees are kind of worried because they're gunning for their position now.
Well, with 12 wild cards, I wouldn't be worried as a Yankee fan that you're not going to get in the playoffs. But I exaggerate, but still. Whoa. Oh, sorry. We just had I have my soundboard. It'll stop in a second.
That's the Red Sox calling you.
Yeah. Is there some fairy dust, or is that the Angels? What is this?
Jesus.
That's the Red Sox calling.
Anyway. That's the fairy dust that that was distributed on the Red Sox. It's funny. A week ago, they were talking about unloading like half their stars, and now they've won 9 in a row. And their fans, I had a bunch of them on the MLB update, and I'll have them at 8:30. Now they're going to the World Series, So their pitching staff is still very iffy outside of Crochet, and his health is always debatable. But they've got some really good players in that lineup who are now hitting, and I don't think it's a coincidence when you get a bad attitude out of the clubhouse, chemistry, and we're talking about Devers. It makes an effect on a team, and a cloud is lifted. And I don't think it's a coincidence they start winning once he's gone.
I wondered that, honestly. Yes.
So it's a good team. They got a good manager. He's got postseason experience. He knows how to go through the ups and downs of a season. And in fact, a lot of Red Sox fans were talking about getting rid of Cora here just a month ago too. It's just crazy. It's a good baseball team, and I would expect them to be in this race for the rest of the season. The East is stronger depth wise than I thought it would be. The Red Sox are better than I thought they'd be. The Rays are better than I thought they'd be. So,
yeah.
And the Yankees are, the Yankees and the Orioles are worse than we thought they'd be. So it's an interesting division.
They're definitely a better division than the AL Central, that's for sure.
Well, the Tigers are there with the best record in baseball, though.
But they got like a 12.5 game lead over the next place team. So they're all pretty bad right now. Milwaukee has won 6 straight to climb within 1 game of first place. Cubs in the NL Central. Speaking of the Central, so they're making their run to the number 1 spot in the division. Playing some pretty good ball. They've been playing pretty consistent ball for the majority of the year. They've had their dips and their valleys, but this is indicative of their division as well. So, anybody got anything on that one?
I missed the I apologize. I missed the very beginning of that.
Milwaukee just has won 6 straight games to climb within 1 game of the Cubs.
Yeah,
but Milwaukee, it's the usual thing: get in the playoffs, get eliminated, and never make a serious run to the World Series. But it's baseball. One of the years maybe they're going to have a breakthrough. Anyone could have that breakthrough for one given year. Hi, Danny. With the Dodgers, it's different. The last couple of years. They have a super team. They didn't have the super team in the past. They're stacked, 1 star over the other going in. They're absolutely stacked. Even their bullpen, it's stacked. Yeah. That's why the Dodgers have injuries during the season, and they still absorb them. And if they get to the World Series and they're pretty healthy, just on talent alone, they're going to be so hard to beat 4 out of 7 games. This isn't the NCAA tournament where the best team, it's one and done to get knocked off. You're going to have to beat the Dodgers 4 games, and that's a monster chore. I know last year they struggled in the playoffs in a couple of the series, but they're better this year than they were last year when they won the series. They've actually improved.
Knowing Danny, Jack, that wasn't a shot at the Dodgers as a shot at the Yankees, because the answer is 1. And the
fact that he called them the Stankies.
Yes. That's, yes. So,
well, I was thinking of Eddie Stanky, who was never a Yankee.
Back to Brewers, though, the Brewers have gotten a nice lift from their rookie Mizorowski. I'm going to say his name wrong. Who got named as a replacement to the All-Star game, which has created its own little havoc because he's only started at games. But some of these guys, I know I'm off topic a little bit, but some of these guys.
5 games, Keith. 5 games, and he's made an All-Star.
I don't have a problem.
It's made a farce out of the game.
How about the players like Suarez and there's another guy with a Phil? Who was it?
It's criminal. Leave out Suarez for pitchers at 5 starts.
He said he wouldn't pitch. There were 2 guys on the pitchers, including Suarez, who were going to be named to the team, but they said that they'd go, but they wouldn't pitch. So don't tell me that's what's criminal. These guys want to go there, but they don't want to play. Put me on a team and then replace me. That's what they want.
Did they say they wouldn't pitch?
Yes, they did.
I find that hard to believe. Everyone who goes wants to at least make an appearance.
You'll find do some research.
Want to pitch an inning. I find that hard to believe.
Both of them, because it came up because I think it was Trey Turner was complaining about the same exact thing. He didn't get named to the team either, and neither did these 2 pitchers. And they both said, we won't pitch. The story's in The Athletic. Look it up today.
Unless they're pitching the Sunday before the game and they have only 1 day rest.
Well, Zach Wheeler's out because he pitched yesterday, but still, I don't think that's the case. They just said they wouldn't pitch. I don't think either one of them pitching today. I could be wrong about that. But
that's just not smart on their part, Keith. They should just be quiet and allow themselves to be.
The game's for the fans want to see young guys. They want to see young stars. They want to see established stars. And I think the fact that Skeens and Skubal are starting is great. I think that this kid from Milwaukee who's on a great tear, similar to Mark Fidrich back in 70 or 76, I guess, right? It's the same kind of thing. Now, he had pitched more games. I think he'd won 8 or 9 games maybe 8 games at the All-Star break. But it's the same kind of thing. He's a phenom right at the moment. And Jack, you like to talk about what's hot at the moment. He's hot at the moment. And I this kid on this team, rather than a bunch of guys who don't want to be there.
Are there some snubs though, like Joe Ryan or something like that?
Joe
guys
Ryan,
like that.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's on a different roster. He would have been the American League, but yeah, he got snubbed. You got to drop guys. If you want to add guys, you got to drop guys, right? So we got to look at those things as well. I'd rather see this kid pitch than make J-Rod go. He doesn't even want to be there. He says, I'd rather have the time off and get ready for the second half. Oh, good. This is what's wrong with you. That's the stuff that's criminal in my mind. The guys who just don't care. Anyway, Jack and I have a little disagreement on this topic, but that's.
I happen to agree with you, Keith, though. If you don't care, then why be there? Just to add it to your list.
Take your name off the ballot so people don't even vote for you, for crying out loud.
Well, that's the ego in a baseball player. They want their name on the ballot so they get recognized, and then they can say, "Oh, I don't want to be there." When they get,
Christopher Sanchez is the
love
other
athletes.
By the way,
gotta love athletes. Switching over to the NBA, Cooper Flag drops 31 in the second game against the San Antonio Spurs in summer league play, after just scoring 10 points in his first game, which he said was one of his worst games he's ever had. What are your takes on that? Because I think he 2 games is really not a measure for me for this guy, but I see the talent in him. I did see some of the highlights of his game last night against San Antonio, and he's pretty good. He is pretty good.
Game 1. Jack and I talked about it Friday, right? His first game. And big jump from game 1. He had a really good game yesterday. Played against Harper, so the 1 and 2 picks were playing against each other yesterday. Again, I think these games are important, but they're not like, it's not. I don't think we're going to learn a lot about how good Cooper Flag is or any of these guys, but it's good for them to get their feet wet against people they'll be playing against. Some of them they'll be playing against in a few months. So I think it's a nice second step. He didn't let that first game get him because he was really bad in his first game.
Yeah. It was like 5 of 20 shooting.
Yeah, 5 for 20.
If there's something that you can judge on these games, is that it's sort of like being at the combine in the NFL. You see like the guy's relative athletic score. You can see their measurables. You can see what they could possibly do, because the talent that they're playing against obviously is much less than what they're going to be up against once they get into the regular NBA season.
Absolutely.
But clearly he's talented. You can see he's a very talented player, and the question is, how will he mix with AD and Kyrie Irving? I think you can see, to me, he reminds me, he's not the same player, but he reminds me of a LeBron. He's got the same height. He's got some of the measurables. I mean, I know people put the name Larry Bird in the mix. These like small forward size. He's just there. I'm not saying he's going to be a Larry Bird. I'm not saying he's going to be a LeBron James. But what I'm saying is that he has that same playmaking ability, and he can shoot. So and to mix him in with those two players, as long as those guys can stay healthy, that's a big if. They might be a bit of a problem in the Western Conference.
Dallas has too, this guard Nemhart. He looked really, really impressive, and he's going to be
the younger brother, right? The younger brother, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we make too much out of these games. Cooper Flagg is playing with all the confidence in the world. Nothing bothers him. If he has a couple of bad games, it doesn't shake him up at all. I mean, it shakes us up from the outside, the way we evaluate him. He knows what he's capable of doing. He's at the very worst, he's going to be a good player at the very worst. But the whole question is, how is he going to blend in with that Mav lineup? Because you have, the veterans who are pretty much set in their ways. Kyrie won't be starting this season because of the injury, but him, Klay Thomas, Anthony Davis. So Cooper Flagg can't exactly take a leadership role like he might if he went to a team that didn't have stars, like the Washington Wizards, the Brooklyn Nets. He would have taken a leadership role. Now with the Mavs, he'll just blend in. But I'll tell you, he'll be the face of their franchise in about a year or so.
100%. No argument this time, Jack.
Yeah, Rick Sherlock, he said that he runs the floor well for a big man. I agree with that 100% because, he was playing really well yesterday. Just one little thing before Keith goes that I wanted to touch on in the NFL. The Bears extend GM Ryan Poles through 2029. Is that a good move? I mean, Chicago is going in the right direction. And again, me and Jack talked about this as well. And he thinks that as long as, Ben Johnson is there, they have everything's pointing up right now. They're in a position where everything's pointing up. So this could work out for him. But if something falls flat,
they're going to be paying a lot of money to spend time with his family if they don't have a good year this year. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
He's had quite a bit of time there now. And you don't get that much time in the NFL these days. So if this team has a type of turnaround that we think that they can have, and I do think they'll be much better this year, you'll be fine. But it's to me, it's an odd time for an extension when you haven't had that turnaround yet. He's made some great moves, and hopefully they work out for him. He's going to get paid either way, so it won't matter. But he could be an extended vacation spending that money.
No, Ben Johnson could have gone anywhere he wanted virtually. Most of the head coaching vacancies, I think Ben Johnson could have had, but he went to the Bears. And I'm sure he didn't go because his family would have loved living in Chicago. No knock on Chicago. But if you compare it to some of the other cities, or warmer weather cities, so on, I'll be diplomatic that way. But the Bears, they built a very nice roster. Very nice roster. So what coach wouldn't want to go there? And they're ready to start winning now. It's a nice situation. Their rebuild is over for the most part. They don't have to rebuild. They're set to go with the guys they have.
They got to win on the field, though.
On the field. They lost a number of tight games. They should have had a winning record last year. That's going to change this year. Those close games they lost last year, the odds are they win at least most of them this year.
My soundboard's too close to me today, apparently.
Keith, that says it's almost time to go.
That was my chirping. I got to go.
No, but I mean, I agree with Jack. I just think the Bears are definitely going to start winning games. It's just,
I think they will
and if
too.
they don't, it would have to be a complete blunder. Something would have to be like epic proportions, just drastically wrong
It'll get
internally.
ugly, James. It'll get ugly. And if they only win 6 games at most, like Danny Fuller says, then it's going to come back to Caleb Williams. He's going to be the lightning rod. I can't imagine their defense being so awful for that being the case to have a collapse. So it'll get so ugly in Chicago if they actually regress. If they don't make at least minimal improvement, it's going to be very ugly.
All right, guys, I got to jump.
All right, Keith. Thanks for
You have a
being
great Sunday, Keith.
Have a great day.
Yeah. Good one. Bye-bye.
Well, on that note, too, as far as their defense, I think they lost a lot of close games last year. Like I said, Eberflus was a very good defensive-minded coach. Might not be the greatest head coach in the world, and that's obviously what happened with Chicago last year. They were in a lot of games because their defense was playing really good, really stellar. But at the same time, he made a couple of bad decisions as a head coach in a couple of games as well. Timeout against Detroit that he should have called and he didn't call. Probably could have tied the game or even got him to a position to win that game. And he's in Dallas right now as a defensive coordinator. I think that's a good move for Dallas. This is the thing that now that they have the offense, because Ben Johnson's an offensive coordinator, and they have the offense, so their offense should significantly improve. Kind of still worried about their defense though, because like when Eberflus left last year or got fired, should I say, the defense went down the toilet. Everybody was scoring at least 34 points on that defense when they weren't doing that before. So
well, it all started when the one cornerback made a stupid boneheaded move. So I think some level of discipline was the problem as well. They weren't disciplined because, like you said, they were good before that. They were definitely good.
Even then, they were still a good team. They held. You see how they held Washington to a fact they had to throw a Hail Mary at the end of the game.
Correct.
In Washington. Then they played Detroit really well. In Detroit, they lost 23-20, and that was a game that was I told you about and that was the game that got him fired basically because he didn't call the timeout and could have tied the game. Once he left that game, the defense really started dipping. And when you don't have that defensive coordinators matter on teams sometimes. Really good coordinators matter on teams. So, like I said, Dallas has got him as a defensive coordinator. I think it's going to help the Cowboys out.
Wait. So you're playing musical chairs. We heard Mike Zimmer last year being the Cowboy defensive coordinator. Oh, this is helping Dallas. And they started off okay, and then it fell apart from defensively. And even Rex Ryan said it was like a joke, Mike Zimmer being the Cowboy defensive coordinator. Now at Colorado, Deion Sanders wants Mike Zimmer, to join the staff there because Zimmer retired. So now he might come out of retirement to go there conceivably. It's like a game of musical chairs with these coordinators. They get let go from one position, they go to another, and we hear what a great move it is. I mean, why don't they just stick with the guys who they have? But there's discontent because only one team can win the Super Bowl.
Well, every coordinator wants their dream. Well, most coordinators' dreams is to be a head coach at some point in their career, and we've seen, Daniels is one of them. The guy from New England, that's the offensive coordinator.
Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels. Yeah, he went to the Raiders and he fell flat on his face.
He went to Denver. Before that, he was a head coach.
Yeah.
And he wasn't great there.
No, it's okay. It's okay if they leave to become a head coach. Obviously, they all want that. But I mean, they're a coordinator in various organizations. Even, Steve Spagnuolo, he left the Giants. He became a head coach there with the St. Louis Cardinals, they were called at the time. Or were they the Rams? I think they were the Rams at that point.
Yeah,
St. Louis.
Right. But the bottom line is he's with Kansas City now. If he was so good in his original place, you get him to come back there.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. He's had success as a defensive coordinator in Kansas City. So yeah, I mean, I mean, look at the Saints. Dennis Allen, terrible head coach. I mean, he was a terrible head coach in when he was the not Las Vegas Raiders, but they were the Oakland Raiders. Not so great at all, man. He's had a terrible record, but as a defensive coordinator, he knows his stuff, man. He keeps the top 5, top 10 defense, and so isn't he in Chicago now?
Who's that?
Dennis Allen.
Yes.
Yes. So there you go. I can look. So maybe that's the situation that helps them. He keeps a disciplined defense, and if he's up there with Ben Johnson on the other side, they no offense to the rest of the NFC North, you might have problems with Chicago.
Yeah, well, we're going to have problems with everybody. Every team is going to have problems in that division. I don't see anybody sweeping this year. I don't see anybody. I think there's going to be a lot of 1-1s. You know, teams are going to be one against each other, and another game, you know, it's going to be a tough division. Period. Speaking of tough divisions and tough people, Ndamukong Suh has retired from the NFL after a 13-year career, where he started in Detroit. As our beloved Sonia said, I don't remember him except for stumping on people, which is legitimate. He did. But he was a very good defensive player. He did turn that Detroit defense into a pretty formidable one. He was the Defensive Rookie of the Year his first year. So, yeah, it was a pretty good career. He's been in 3 Super Bowls.
Hall of Fame or not, the reputation as a dirty player.
Mm-hmm. It might be a while before he gets in the Hall of Fame because of that reputation. You know how the media is and personalities are. I think he will be, but it's going to take a while for him to get there.
Didn't he have something going on with Matthew Stafford in Detroit, where Stafford's wife made a comment about him afterwards, that she was worried about her husband, that he might try to hurt her husband, you know, in practice or something?
No, I never heard of that. I mean, Kelly Stafford says a lot of stuff, especially on her podcast, that she should really kind of just, you know,
dial it back.
I never heard about that one. You know,
maybe
I've heard
I'm
of her
taking it out of context, but there was some underlying tension there. They never had any type of bond, Matthew Stafford with, so I don't know.
Well,
Let me say this about being labeled. Let me say this about being labeled a dirty player. I'm watching Ndamukong Suh coming out of Nebraska. I watched him when he was with Detroit. I watched him his whole career. Some things, yes. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he's the guy that gets baited in. A lot of times it's like when you watch plays, one guy does one thing first. He does the second thing afterwards. And there's always the second guy getting caught. He never had good control of his temper. But at the same time, I saw one time, and it was highly debated about how a play looked. He got called for a flag for pushing the quarterback in the back down. It was the guy that used to play for Denver, and he played for Chicago. What's the guy that had diabetes? I can't think of his name. He was very melancholy as a quarterback.
Cutler?
Yes, Jay Cutler. He pushed him in the back. And it looked so egregious. But Ndamukong Suh was strong as an ox, and I think a lot of people just don't get that. So it looked. You had guys that were strong on the line, and then you had Ndamukong Suh. He had to have 2, sometimes 3 guys triple teaming because he was just that strong and menacing in that position in 3 technique. So it looked more. They threw a flag because it was a bang bang play, but when there was a replay and the commentators were saying, "Well, that's not dirty. That's just a guy getting pushed down by somebody who has superhuman strength." Mm-hmm. And so that's, to me, I think a lot of it is just once you get a label, everybody's looking at you. Don't get me wrong. He did step on a guy's crotch. And so that
No, he stepped on Aaron Rodgers' ankle too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's is he Hall of Fame worthy? Yes, I still think so, regardless of the numbers, and it's debatable about whether or not he'd be a first ballot or not. I mean, he's got a Super Bowl, I think, with Tampa Bay. Yeah,
he's been in 3. Got one with Tampa Bay. In fact, Tom Brady said when Ndamukong Suh was on Tampa Bay at the time, he was like, "I'm glad he's on our team." Because he used to push Tom Brady around too a lot.
That's the guy you want on your team. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. No, most people would not. If they had him on their team, nobody would be complaining. Mm-hmm. But it looks more egregious when he's not on your team.
Right. So, Jack, we're going to get to something that's near and dear to your heart, and of course, that is boxing. Katie Taylor defeated Amanda Serrano via majority decision to return to the undisputed women's junior welterweight championship. Taylor is now 3-0 against Serrano.
Yeah, all 3 fights were close. I mean, you could argue that all 3 decisions could have conceivably gone the other way. Even though last Friday I thought, Taylor did earn the decision. I had a winning 96-94, 6 rounds to 4. So much of boxing is creating a perception. You move around, you bounce around, even if you're not landing punches. If you're looking prettier than the other person, in the way you're going about things, you kind of create a scenario, that looks good for the judges. But both fighters know that's what one is trying to do, and that's what the other's trying to prevent the other fighter from doing. So Taylor earned the decision. If there are 3 fights, this was the most tame one. It wasn't a bad fight, but it certainly wasn't exciting. The first 2 were, thrilling fights where they went toe for toe. This one was a lot more conservative because, Katie Taylor boxed more. Amanda Serrano was the aggressor, but not really an effective aggressor. And it basically closes the book, on their 3 fights. And normally when you have trilogies, one fight is going to win 2, the other is going to win 1. But Katie Taylor walks away winning all 3, but it doesn't tell the full story. They're much more evenly matched than fighters that, went 3-0 and 0-3 against one another. And then there were fights last night. Hamza Sharez knocked out Edgar Berlanga. And I don't even want to mention that fight because Berlanga created a buzz. But I said all along, he's just not an elite fighter. He's just not good. You know what I mean? It's like competing with Yale and Harvard in a scholastic contest, and you're bringing a student who has a B average from a Division II school, and he's sitting there competing against them. And people are thinking, oh, he can get it done. He's not going to get it done, no matter how much he studies. If he's a B student, he's not going to take his game up another level. And I talked with Frank Latours on Glove Fist about this for a while. And I said, this is a red flag for Canelo. I'm going to find out in this fight because Berlanga went the distance with Canelo, won a couple of rounds, and gave the impression, oh, Berlanga could really fight. You were wrong, Jack. No, I wasn't wrong. He got flattened in 5 rounds yesterday by Hamza Sharez. Got knocked down 3 times. That's your red flag as far as how much Canelo has slipped. That'll tell you how much he slipped. And I said going into this fight, Berlanga is going to lose this fight flat out, And
you did say that, yep.
It was basically, as conclusive as could be. And then in the co-main event, which should have been the main event, it was pretty predictable. Shakur Stevenson beat William Cepeda. I don't want to use the word easy, even though he won let's say 11 of 12 rounds. But it was so predictable how decisive it was going to be because Stevenson's an elite fighter. It was so predictable he was going to shut down Cepeda's style completely. But Cepeda throws a lot of punches. Some people wanted the impression he had a chance based on the volume of punches he threw. but he was never in with a good chance in this fight because, you hear the terms that there are levels in boxing. And Shakur Stevenson's just on a much higher level. Shakur Stevenson is one of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound. And Zepeda's just another guy. He barely got by Tevin Farmer, in his last two fights. So those were basically the highlights, of the evening.
Yeah, the judges scored that fight that you're talking about, Stevenson and Zepeda, 118 to 110, 118 to 110, and 119 to 109 in Stevenson's favor, obviously.
10-2 and 11-1.
I got a question, Jack. Regarding Stevenson, he's not. I mean, he's only had like 11 knockouts. He's not known for power. I mean, is he known for as a counter puncher or just more strategic? Because he doesn't have the power at all. He doesn't really like it was. You didn't go into this fight thinking that you were going to knock out Zepeda. That Stevenson was going to knock out Zepeda.
Yeah, they're different fighters. Stevenson is in the mold of Pernell Whitaker and Floyd Mayweather. They don't have a great deal of power. They rarely knock a guy out. They just shut opponents down. They're so hard to beat because they have that ability to shut down any style. They're not, they're not necessarily even better than other elite fighters, but their style, is such a puzzle to solve. I mean, Floyd Mayweather's not better than Sugar Ray Leonard, but maybe he beats him. Maybe he shuts his style down. I don't know what would have happened, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mayweather was able to shut down Leonard, Roberto Duran and guys like that. Maybe he doesn't. I'm not coming up with a prediction, but he's got a shutdown style, and not many fighters have that shutdown style. It's just that they're great within their own style. They're kind of like Mariano Rivera coming in the ninth inning. Make him pitch a whole game. Make Rivera pitch 9 innings. Maybe it's a different story if you turn him into a starter. He's maybe not nearly as great, but, and that's Shakur Stevenson. Yesterday, because of all the criticism he had, he fought more. He stayed in the pocket. He exchanged punches more, which gave Zepeda at least a slim chance of winning the fight because Stevenson was willing to engage Zepeda. And, and he looked good doing it, Stevenson. He didn't get the stoppage. It still went the distance. He's not a big puncher. He could hurt a guy and take him out now and then. But he's just not a big puncher. He's what he is. He's a great fighter, Stevenson. One thing I have to say about all these guys, these young fighters, from Shakur Stevenson to Devin Haney, to Tank Davis, to Edgar Berlanga, Frank Laterzo posted something. He's getting sick of this sport. I'm getting sick of it too, listening to these guys. I understand they're young. They want to talk junk in a sense. But these guys sound like total fools. I mean, total fools. I mean, it's hard to stomach them after a while to hear how.
Can you give me an instance? Give me a for instance.
I can't repeat well. Okay, Berlanga starts throwing money at Oscar De La Hoya, basically saying he wants De La Hoya to be his woman, stuff like that. Tank Davis just gets arrested again. He served some time. He might have to serve some time again for this domestic stuff. Devin Haney and his dad sound like bumbling fools the way they talk. The two of them sound like complete fools, or in the way they talk. I'm not saying they are fools. There's a difference between saying someone is something and not saying, okay? Like, for example, one of James's favorites, Isaiah Thomas, is saying Jordan called him an a-hole. Jordan didn't call him that. Jordan said he was acting like one when he walked off the court. There's a difference, okay? And that's what I'm saying about the Haneys, father and son, the way they act. I'm not saying that they're not intelligent, people, but they're the way they act. And Shakur Stevenson yesterday after the fight, he starts cursing, acting vulgar, after the win up. Why? Because people questioned how great a fighter he was. So if you're going to predict a guy loses a fight or predicts he's not as good as you think you are, you're going to start cursing the guy and call him a hater because he has an opinion. Because I have an opinion on a fighter. Is that making me a hater? Is Edgar Berlanga going to say I'm a hater because all along I said he's not an elite fighter. He's not that good. He's not
Jack,
that good at all. He's mediocre. Does that make me a hater? Shut
We're all
me up,
haters.
performing in the ring, doing your job.
Jack, unfortunately, you're gonna have to contend with the word hater because that's usually the young generation's word if you have an opinion on something. So that differentiates, or that's different from for sure. It's not defined properly.
You're a hater. So we can't criticize. We can't
Yes, exactly.
criticize without being called a hater. We have to just go along, get in our hands, bow down. You're so great. You're so wonderful. You're so this. Never give a negative opinion. Look, Charles Barkley had to go through this because all he said about Klay Thompson a year or two ago, Klay Thompson hasn't been the same player since the injury. And Barkley was 100% correct. And Klay Thompson gets all insulted, and other NBA players chime in, putting Barkley down. They're calling him a hater, this or that. How dare Charles say that? Charles is just giving a valid opinion. Tell me what was wrong with what Charles Barkley was saying about Klay Thompson.
It's opinion.
I think we can all be in agreement that nothing was wrong. I mean, he said everything. He said it was not only was it not wrong, it was correct. It was a correct assessment. So it's just, I think he was hurt and he was in his feelings, and obviously he knew he wasn't in the position, because I heard him mention, he said, man, I worked very hard to try to get back from those injuries and to get back out here. So I think it's more disappointment. People don't want you to say what the truth is. The truth most times hurts if it's in a sense of you being different from what you used to be. So
as Jack Nicklaus says, you can't handle the truth.
Yes.
I mean, you know how you respond. Perform. Prove Barkley wrong if you're Klay Thompson. Perform. Get back to your old self.
But that's the problem, Jack. That's the problem. He knows he can't get back. He's not going to get back to his old self. And I think that's why I said the truth hurts, because he understands even though he had to take a long road to get back from those two injuries, Achilles and ACL tear, he's still working his butt off to get to some semblance, 80% of what he used to be. So and that hurts. That hurts the ego. And with somebody saying that out loud, and versus him just already knowing and thinking it, he'd rather not anybody put that out there. But Charles Barkley, he did his job. He had a responsibility to say that.
You see, you mentioned the young generation. There's something like an old timer like myself is maybe missing. I tried to go with the times. I really do. I don't like living in the past, but I also don't want to get swept away into this wave of the future, which is insane in a sense that you can't give an opinion. Like you said, you're saying the new generation, if you criticize a player, you become a hater. And it's not even criticizing, it's just giving an opinion. That's all. It's just an opinion, and you call that hater.
Well, yeah.
You have to be.
Again,
go ahead.
It's a different generation, and Jack, I'm kind of getting your point about the reason why this frustrates you in a sport of boxing, because you don't think there's enough respect in that sport right now, and like there was back in the day. And I think a lot of things back in the day haven't been barred by social media. Social media is a good thing when it's put to use in the right way, and it's a bad thing. It's the devil the other way. You know what I'm saying? So, and most of the time, it's for the bad way. So social media has kind of changed our culture, the world culture, basically in sports. So I mean, you always have that good point about the hating and people getting their flowers all the time. It's kind of like, everybody getting a participation trophy. Let's give them his flowers. Well, if you don't, you're a hater. Well, so I hate. I'm telling you, I'm a hater of a lot of things. So because I got opinions, and I'm sure James is the same way, and you're the same way, Jax. It's just the I don't care. Call me OG. I'm a hater. Whatever. I don't care.
Can you imagine James, okay, when he has to give his predictions for the NFL season, he predicts this, let's say he predicts the Saints come in last place in their division, which my guess is, no offense, James, you probably will predict that, this season. But then you have access to the Saint locker room with other reporters, let's make believe, and they know your prediction. And they start cursing at you, a couple of players, claiming you're a hater because you predicted they would come in last, just giving an opinion. That makes you a hater.
Yeah, I mean it's thrown around. We have our little texts and stuff like that. It's thrown around a whole bunch. It's funny because to Brent's point, that's what it is. Haters today are people that are realistic and critique the bad along with the good. That's what it is, and people just use it as hey, because you're not going to give me my flowers because I did this little thing, and it's a big deal to me, but it's not a big deal to everybody else. And we're just a mess right now. That's all.
When the word hate comes out, to me, it's from a person who has not been through anything strong or rough in their life. When I say, they haven't faced adversity. And when you face adversity, I've heard Jordan say, I've lost more than I've won. That makes sense. I mean, yes, what are you going to do when adversity comes? Okay, you try to overcome that. You push forward. When people say hate, there's a facade that everything is good, everything is great, everything's going right. That's not true. That's nowhere near true in life. So I think when it becomes a major, broadly used word across the social media, that tells me a lot, and it tells me a direction that we're headed is just not great, Jack. So I'm not saying to be the old man and telling people to get off my lawn, but I understand.
Mhm. We all been there. We all are there. That's for sure. Well, this is going to conclude our show for today. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, James. And of course, thank you to Keith out there. Everybody have a very good rest of your Sunday. Be on with us at 4:00 p.m. for One Ass Cheek, Three Toes. And tomorrow morning with Jack and Keith on the weekend playbook. And of course, at 7:00 p.m. Monday for the, oh my God. I hate Sundays.
Is it Keith and Jack or Jack and Keith?
No.
Jay comes before K in the
Every time I do, Jack makes me nervous. No, I'm just kidding. No, for the Glove Fist is 7 p.m. So everybody enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you for those shows. Have a good one.